Thank you for joining me today for my weekly video update. It was great to see the Baltimore Sun's front page headline earlier this week announcing that 99.9% of Montgomery County's eligible population has received at least one dose of the vaccine, according to the CDC. This great news even caught the attention of the international news media, BBC, and I did a live interview and talked about our success. I explained that we had a concerted outreach and education effort, that our residents, businesses, and employees are very serious about combating this virus. From those who were first in line to get this vaccine to others who waited a few months, nearly every eligible resident has trusted the science and taken the vaccine. You understood the importance of this vaccine to your family, friends, and neighbors and coworkers, and that is why we're making international news. Our high vaccination rate is helping us keep our case rates down. They're among the lowest in the region, as well as one of the lowest among large jurisdictions in this country. And although our current community transmission rate is still substantial by CDC guidelines, our numbers are moving toward the moderate transmission range. Once we remain in the moderate transmission category for 7 days straight, our current indoor mask mandate will end. To be clear, we need to be at moderate transmission for 7 days in a row. If we hit moderate for 3 days and then go back to substantial on the 4th day, the 7-day clock will restart. All that said, I think we'll be better off if we continue to stay masked when you are in close contact with people, particularly indoors. We saw what happened last fall and winter. We still have unvaccinated residents and people traveling into the county from surrounding areas that do not have the low case rates that we do. Remember, we're not an island. So even if our mask mandate is eventually removed, I would still encourage everyone to continue to mask indoors. Our work to defeat COVID is not over. We are currently issuing some third shots and boosters and preparing to work with community and private partners once the vaccine is authorized for children under 12. We also continue to work with the school system on their testing program. We're committed to making sure our operations and outreach continue to expand, and we're using our experience so far to prepare for this next round. Thanks to our vaccination rates and declining case rates, Halloween celebrations this year can be had with less anxiety and worry compared to last year. We want everyone to enjoy and have fun, but we also need to continue to be smart and to keep our case rates from spiking. Last week, our Health and Human Services Department put out tips for celebrating a healthy Halloween, and I hope everyone shares and adheres to this advice. If you're celebrating Halloween activities over the next 2 weeks, I encourage you to get COVID tested before and after any events or gatherings, whether you're vaccinated or not. We must not assume just because we are vaccinated we're immune to catching COVID. Testing is available all around the county at pharmacies, grocery stores, as well as medical providers. The county continues our own robust testing programs, and we're testing approximately 5,000 people per week as part of our continuing efforts to keep infections down in the community. Also related to testing, you might recall at the beginning of the year, they needed assistance to improve their testing system, and we provided staff, rapid tests, and our resources to address the situation. Our goal was to make sure that our students were in school learning and reduce the number of those in quarantine. The good news is that our approach worked and have successfully stood up a testing program that reduces the number of quarantined students. We have gone from 1,700 to 1,800 students quarantined in our first couple of weeks to currently 356. We're also finalizing our Test to Stay program, which should further reduce the number of students quarantined. You can follow our progress on MCPS's recently launched dashboard. I want to thank MCPS, HHS, and our COVID response teams for their work. The learning loss that we saw last year highlights the importance of making sure our students are in the schools and classrooms as much as possible. As the school year continues, we will surely experience more challenges, even potential setbacks. But through partnership, collaboration, and communication, we continue to ensure that all of our kids are experiencing in-class learning as much as possible. This week, the Maryland Citizens Redistricting Commission, appointed by the governor, released their redistricting maps for the state and congressional districts. I've heard concerns from community residents who've looked at these about the new districts. I share their concern that these maps would divide communities, dilute minority representation, and weaken our position in Annapolis. These maps look like gerrymandering to me, and they look that way to a lot of other people. It doesn't surprise me and shouldn't surprise any of us. This map was created by the commission, handpicked by Governor Hogan, and led by a member of a far-right think tank who's shown contempt for democratic policies. However, this process is not finished. The General Assembly will review the maps, and I'm confident that the General Assembly will pass maps that better reflect our communities. I urge you to review these proposed maps and testify before the Legislative Redistricting Advisory Committee hearing on November 5th at the University of Shady Grove, and ask them to reject this politically partisan map that shows disdain for our county. This week, environmental activists organized at the White House to remind President Biden and congressional Democrats that the October 31st deadline for passing the spending package and a smaller companion infrastructure bill appears increasingly ambitious as negotiations drag on between the White House, Democratic leaders, and a pair of centrist holdouts in the Senate. Embedded in the measure are plans to drastically cut carbon emissions, warming the planet and fueling climate disasters, a potentially historic set of policies that Speaker Nancy Pelosi has said would serve as a, quote, model for the world, unquote. Congress needs to pass this bill before the UN climate talks in Scotland in 2 weeks, or else we're going to lose our standing to hold other countries equally accountable. We're doing our part and the best we can in Montgomery County with one of the most aggressive climate action plans to reduce all of our climate emissions by 2035. However, inaction on global, national, or even local level will hurt our efforts on an issue that we already are years behind on, if not decades. But unfortunately, even our county is not immune to inaction. I sent legislation to our county council back in April regarding building energy performance standards that is key to our carbon emission reduction goals. The council has still not acted on this legend as week after week goes by. I continue to encourage the council, as well as all residents who want to address climate change, to take action and be heard on these issues. One recent example of these deadly impacts of climate change was the flooding that occurred last month following the remnants of Tropical Storm Ida. We are very appreciative of the Small Business Administration for offering low-interest disaster loans to impacted residents and businesses. On our end, the county government and our partners will make sure all who are eligible are aware of this opportunity to help them recover and build from the damage incurred. Loans up to $200,000 are available to homeowners to repair or replace damaged or destroyed real estate. Homeowners and renters are eligible for loans up to $40,000 to repair or replace damaged or destroyed personal property. Applicants may be eligible for a loan amount increase up to 20% of their physical damage as verified by the SBA for mitigation purposes. Eligible mitigation improvements may include a safe room or storm shelter, a sump pump, French drain, or retaining wall to help protect property and occupants from future damage caused by a similar disaster. Applicants may apply online using the electronic application via SBA's secure website at disasterloanassistance.sba.gov and should apply under SBA Declaration number 17229 and not for a COVID-19 incident. This week we concluded our series of hybrid regional budget forums in our 5 regional service centers. These budget forums are important events for us to update our public on our upcoming FY23 budget process and outlook, as well as provide opportunities for the public to give us their input and feedback. I want to thank all of our residents who attended, asked questions, and brought up important issues and priorities. We're planning 2 more upcoming budget forums that will be for our Spanish-speaking residents, as well as at Leisure World for our senior population. If you missed any of these budget forums, you can re-watch them on our website and on our social media platforms. Finally, I want to comment on the news that Nancy Kopp is retiring as our state's treasurer. For over 5 decades, she served the state of Maryland and Montgomery County with grace and honesty while remaining true to her convictions and always standing up to powerful special interests on behalf of the voiceless. She was not only a trailblazing pioneer for women throughout Maryland, but also an innovator as both a legislator and as treasurer. Her leadership helped our state to become one of the best in our nation. I'm thankful for her counsel and friendship, and I wish her all the best during her well-deserved retirement. Thank you for your time today, and I hope you have a great week.